Bang! Neevesknives. I'm Jared, and we are live on Neevesknives, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, everyone is well. Running a little late, not like on time wise, but just getting prepared and getting set up. I was trying to go through my stuff to get rid of the Neevesknives symbol in the corner because I got the one up on the shelf, but I don't know how the hell to do it. But I don't know. I'll figure it out. That's just something that, like when I'm talking about soon, how I'm going to take a couple days off and try to work on a bunch of things. I guess that'd be one thing. And then also some of the perks I have in StreamYard, a lot of them I don't know how to use. So I'll probably do like a random live one of these days that's just kind of a testing live. I don't know if I'll actually go live or not, but it'll be a time when I can sit there and work on all this stuff. Just like also using this laptop for editing and everything. That's another thing. I did pick up some more supplies though, like memory card and everything. Cue Ball helped me out with that so that I can save memory from my phone and put it on the laptop and edit. That should hopefully be able to help me be able to have more videos on the backlog, because one of my problems is I don't have enough room to save them. And then also it'll help me be faster with editing. But hopefully all is well with all of you. Oh man, Samuel, I appreciate that, because we're coming for Metal Complex's throat over here at Neevesknives. Left Metal Complex's a comment that Neeves is coming for him on his live just a few minutes ago. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I jumped in for like 2 seconds. I was gonna leave a comment, but I figured he probably wouldn't see it. But I know he was sitting there reading comments, so maybe he would have, maybe he didn't, he wouldn't have. I don't know. I probably would have had to have left it in a super chat, which I have no problem doing. Since we're coming for him, might as well make it big and bright. Let everybody know. But isn't it annoying that you can only tinker around with StreamYard when you are live? No, I can do it. I just have to set it up for like a premiere and then delete it. So I can tinker around with it. To be honest, I just don't know how. It's one of those idiot, like me. I'm not good with the tech stuff. So, but I'm sure if I sat there and tinkered with it for a few minutes, I could figure out how to set it up for a video to go live later, which I kind of know how to do. So I don't think that'll be such a big deal. And then do it. I'll just have to set it up as like a recorded live. Which I do want to do maybe some of those at some point, where like, because also I'm gonna set up like the join button, and eventually I'll probably wind up doing some lives that are purely just for the join members, meaning like you can watch but you can't comment unless if you're a member. That way like we could set up like some really cool topics or something. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. I haven't figured it out, but we do got a lot of cool changes and upgrades we're gonna be doing soon. I can't believe how I'm glad I did not start putting together that grinder, because holy cow, I'm still getting parts in. Today I got a giant wheel in and another part. But anyways, it's crazy. Which is awesome though. But I don't want to start putting it together and then think I'm missing a part or something. Okay, by the way, guys, I should just wait. I might mention this once or twice in the live, especially while more people come in. But there's somebody that has a Shurogorov Quantum for sale. If anybody's interested, here in a little bit, I'll link his Instagram or something like that. Or write it in the chat for anybody who might be interested. They can also just contact me and I can hook them up with them. It's brand new, never been used, never been carried or anything like that. Not a cheap knife though, so anybody who's actually serious, definitely contact me. What's up, Brandon? Breeze, what's up, Breeze? Oh, so this was one of the topics I was gonna kind of talk about. So my uncle's birthday's coming up next weekend, and I'm gonna go hang out with him. He's always carried a pocket knife, more like a traditional style pocket knife, like a slip joint or something like that. and I'm gonna get him a knife. No, I'm gonna get him a knife. So I was trying to figure out what knife to get him, and I'm kind of settling on this, and I'd love to hear some of your guys' inputs on this. But the two I have in mind right now is the Civivi Elementum, because that's almost traditional and modern at the same time. It's a great size. It's about the size I want to get them. I don't want to get them anything bigger than that. So that's a great size. So like the Civivi Elementum, probably the green micarta one, with the black stone wash blade, something like that. Maybe even the satin blade. I don't know yet. Or the Civivi bow, because the Civivi bow this is such a slim, easy to carry, and it has that worn look to it. Something I think he could appreciate. Very snappy detent, so I have no doubt that he won't be able, which he can work anything. I'm not worried about that at all. But I'm not looking for a knife that's like a reverse flicker or anything like that. I'm looking for a flipper knife, very good action. Something very smooth. Doesn't necessarily have to be like stupid smooth, but just it's just nice. But this one's very easy, and I think that this one's a great option. So I have this one and then the Civivi Elementum kind of in mind. But I was kind of trying to figure out like maybe 2 or 3 other options so that I can, I don't know, just have something to choose between. I thought about I always forget the damn name, guys. I always forget the name. The something number 2. Can't think of the name of it. I never can. What's the front flipper one with the fuller? You reverse flick it. I always forget the name of it. You guys always help me out. Q1 Fiend votes for bow. Awesome. Yeah, I good knife, man. It's solid, and this thing is a great little secondary. Like you almost can't go wrong with this to gift it to anybody. Great little knife. Finch Holiday. That's a good one, or the 1929, but I don't know how he'd do with that 1929 blade shape. I think he's more into like the spear point, the more longer clip points or drop points. I would agree with drift. There you go. That's what it is. The Drifter 2. I know. I would love to do that. The problem with it is that it's a top flipper. I don't, I know he could do a top flipper, but I don't know if he would sit there and even care long enough to sit there and try to top flip it. And he's not gonna reverse flick it. So what would wind up happening is he'd wind up opening it up 2 hands. So I don't want him to be, which I know he'd open it up and be like, whoa, that's smooth, because he's used to, the resistance from a back lock. But that's why I thought of more like this. But trust me, I would love to get him that if it was a traditional flipper. If that was a traditional flipper, hands down, that's what it would be. To be honest, before I even thought of this, I was going to get him one of those. But then I always fall back when we're talking about the Drifter. I always fall back on, top flipper. He's never used a top flipper ever. And he doesn't reverse flick. So I'm trying to look for the easiest action that somebody used to traditionals and just pull open knives would be able to do. Now, a flipper knife, he knows how to do. Like, that's not a problem. That's why I figured that'd be good. I say go with the Finch, better old school vibe. Yeah, I feel you on that. I just don't know if I can get one, because I don't own any. Otherwise, I'd give them. I got to be able to get it, because like this one, I got a review, but I can buy this. I can buy another one. So that's kind of the beauty. I definitely have to be able to get one. The bug out would be sweet. Yeah, even the mini bug out would be sweet, but then that's thumb studs. But yes, I did think about the bug out. I thought about the mini bug out. I did think about that. The mini would be a great size and perfect. It's just the thumb studs, like I said, I really want to lean back on a flipper, because thumb studs are great. I don't think he'd have an issue with them or anything, but I almost wonder. I think he would get it down pretty quick, to be honest. He's a very handy person. Like he's done everything. I mean, I would sit here and name, like, he owns a concrete business, does concrete his whole life, does like he's a mechanic. He's just about everything. He's very handy. you can definitely figure out how to operate something better than most. It's taught me a lot. So, get him an ABKT roper that looks like a buck 110 with a flipper. I can't even think of what that is. ABKT roper. We're going to look at that really quick. Give me 1 second. Let me just click this because I didn't have this set up. Share. But yeah, it's difficult when you're narrowed down, because like with us, we just, it's like we love all the actions, so it's real easy for all of us to take whatever or to suggest whatever. But when we start talking about one form of deployment, it boils it down to where you only have so many options. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is a more of a traditional. But where's the roper? Oh, you said it was a flipper, didn't you? Roper knives. Here we go. ABKT roper. I hope I'm finding the right one. I should have just went on images because I don't think this is it. And just go to images. This might help me out. Oh, okay. Is that it? Roper. Oh, there's all kinds of ropers. I don't even know anything about these, to be honest. I need to look more into these guys. That's the tack. Where's the ABKT roper, though? ABKT roper. Is that it? That's the Junior Outlaw. 3.5 inch. I got to stay in 3-inch range, but I'm going to take a look at those when we're done, because those all looked, they look like some solid kind of traditional. But like I said, I want to lean towards modern traditional, kind of like the Drifter, because I know that would catch his eye. I know it would have his blade shape, like something similar to the Drifter. Or like I said, spear point, drop point, like the Elementum. That's why I keep falling back on the Elementum, because it's like that's a perfect EDC knife. Jared, have you looked into Boker knives? They seem to appear to a traditional. I totally agree, and I did, or I'm thinking about that. I thought about the one that I picked up with the green micarta. The hell is the name of it? I can't even think of the name of it now. Man, I'm so bad with names. But the one I've shown on my channel, the Kansai or something like that, that one is really awesome. And it comes in so many different versions that I would totally get him the green micarta version, or the brass version, or the copper. But I don't know if he would want the copper, but the micarta would be awesome. Bees Blades, what's up, bud? Bees Blades is in the house. You guys better be subbed to Bees Blades. Last night I was on his live for his birthday stream. Hopefully you guys watched that. It was an awesome time. We had such a good time. Jared, oh yeah, you said that. That looks like a buck 110 with a flipper. That's what I think that wooden one was. That's what it looked like, kind of. All right, I got to catch up, guys. So I'm just going to go all the way down because I see that I'm way behind. I'm sorry. What about a Pena? They have some traditional. Yeah, that's too much money, though. A Pena? I couldn't do that. One, I couldn't afford it. Number two, I'm not going to spend that much money on it, because he's he's gonna do fuck shit with this thing. Like, not saying I wouldn't want him to do that type of stuff with a Pena, but I think it'd be hard for him to wrap his head around a Pena. You know what I mean? Like, he's used to, like I said, just modern traditional knives, work knives. Just, it's a tool, right? It's a tool. That's why to him, he probably wouldn't even carry it if he found out how much money it was. I don't know though. Maybe he would. It's hard to say what he would say opinion. It's hard to say. I mean, he'd definitely be fascinated and interested, and he knows what I do with knives. And he's always, when I go like to my family's house, he's always sitting on the sidelines, you know, when I'm showing the kids the knives and unwrapping knives and talking about it. He's always on the sidelines paying attention, and that's just how he is. So, and you know, he's tools, you know, is his thing. He likes tools. Thank you, Old Dog New Tricks. I've been carrying my Smooth Tie 80/20 a hell of a lot lately, but I want something new. What do you think about the TRM Atom? I want one with tie scales. I say go for it, man. Go for it. It's gonna be tough though. Unless if you got your, you know, got a little deal going with somebody, but whoops. But yeah, I agree. That's an awesome knife. I even recommend even more, to be honest, the Shadow. If you can get the Shadow, that is such a good knife. Now, don't get me wrong, the TRM Atom and the Neutron are both amazing knives, and I don't think anybody can go wrong with those. Nice and slim, really awesome, but they're hard to get. Same thing with the Shadow, but the Shadow is more of a hard use knife while not being a hard use style, because it's got the axis lock, which is incredibly strong, arguably the second or third most strongest locking mechanism. Then it's got a thin blade, like 90,000 stick blade, so it's a super slicer, right? Got the ergos for a tough knife, where like you have really good control, really good grip. The blade shape that's just amazing. So it has that nice balance between a great EDC, a great slicer, but if you needed to be tough on your knife, you could do it. Stas is in the house. Definitely go and sub to Stasa23. Here's the link to his channel. Michael Morgan says the Buffalo Warrior is 3.75. Oh, yeah. The Buffalo Scout is like 3. Gotcha. Yeah. Big difference when you're talking about a gift knife between 3.75 and 3 inches. I'm leaning towards more like 3 inches, because you guys know how it is, right? Like if you carry, say, a 3.5-inch knife for a week, you get used to it. That's just the size you carry now. Now, anything less than that, you're like, ooh, this is small. Especially when you get used to using it and cutting with it. It's, you know, like when you're cutting with a 3.5-inch blade, 3.5 to 4-inch blade, you get used to cutting with a lot of like blade. It feels really good to cut with something like that, and you realize how beneficial a bake knife is. You realize all the things you can do and how much faster and all kinds of stuff. But then when you jump back down to a small knife, it's like, holy cow, this thing is so small. And you know, it's like, yeah, for little things it's awesome, but when you're talking about breaking down cardboard, you're like, where's my big knife at? But same thing goes for when you're used to carrying a small knife. When you're used to carrying a small knife and then somebody hands you a big knife, it's like, why would I want to carry this machete around? That's what they think. I remember one time I had a fixed blade on my head. Not a big one, probably 3.5-inch blade. That's it. And somebody looked at me and says, why are you carrying around a sword? I'm like, what? But yeah, I mean, it takes, and it doesn't even take long to get used to, but you have to get it in their pocket. That's why I think going with the something that's just his size already is, I can get it right in his pocket right away. Yeah, we talked about the Drifter. It's a front flipper, or you talking about just the regular Drifter, Drifter 1. That's not a bad idea because it is traditional. It's a slip joint. So it's not a flipper, it's a slip joint. So that's not actually a bad idea. That's actually a really good idea. This is me now. This has nothing to do with him. I want to get him a locking knife, and I want it to be a flipper almost. And I don't know which one he would appreciate more, but I find myself wanting to get him something that locks, right? And not necessarily, I guess, a flipper, but I would rather a flipper that locks. That's what I'm leaning towards. I want him to have that, you know, that nice feel of a good detent, good action. And it's not like where it feels like you're doing something crazy. Like I said, the bow or the Elementum, that type of size knife with a flipper. There's a lot of knives in that size range that are really good. The Rat 2, you mean? Get the Drifter 2. He will like I don't think he would. I don't think he would be good. I think he would roll it, is what I think he would do. I think he would go like this. I have the feeling he would go just like this. Like he would just roll it out. And with that knife, the jimping isn't the sharpest. That's it. If it had a little bit sharper jimping, I might possibly do it. But I think what he would do is he just boiled down to two-hand opening it. That's what he would do. And it's got the fuller. Now, he might get used to pinching and rolling it out. I don't know, but I don't think he would ever get used to just from flipping it. But it's hard to say because he is good with his hands and everything. So he's got some hands on him. But I just, you guys understand, like I want him to have the best chance of falling in love with it right away. I want him to have the best chance of carrying it. I want him to have the best chance of using it. I want the best chances of everything. And so I don't want to take a risk. Do you know what I mean? Long Island, New York, Long Island knife guy. Well, I was thinking about Todd Carr. I was thinking about the Tucson. I can't remember the name of it, but the traditional I got over here. It's a flipper. It's a lock. It's a frame lock, but that is almost perfect. But it's almost too big, but it's almost perfect, and it's a traditional. Mini Griptilian, that is a great option. I do agree with that. That's a great option. I did think of something like that, a little bit more out of the price range I'm thinking of, but I did think about that though. That is a fantastic knife for somebody. That's not a bad idea for sure. And it's in that because, like, say I like a pair of 3, right? A pair of 3 is just too everything. Like it's just too much. I don't think he would really like it as much as like a mini grip. A mini grip is great, especially the one with the hole, because anybody can work that hole. I handed that same knife to somebody that was fresh with knives, had tried to flick a knife a few times at my work. He don't work there no more. It was this dude named Jared, and he I handed him the Griptilian, and I just showed him. I said, hey. And actually, it was with the thumb. And I showed him how to do it. Instantly, he snapped it out, and he was like, I like this one. It is easy, though. Double detent is too weak for a traditional guy. Yeah, that's the thing. I think he would find that. That's why I want something locking. I think he would find maybe a double detent a little hazardous. Would your uncle enjoy using an axis lock? I think so. I honestly think an axis lock would be really good. He already knows liner locks and frame locks, so that's something he'd be already used to. But yes, I think you can hand an axis lock to just about anybody, and anybody can figure it out because you can see it, right? You can see it clear as day. And even if you start pushing it and start trying to use it as a button, you're gonna figure it out pretty quick that you pull it down. By the way, the review of this one is coming soon to you. Big Belly, integral carbon fiber, really cool. It is a great way for those of you that are wanting the Shadow but can't get it. I'm not saying this is as good as the Shadow. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, like, this is a good knife, and it's a great exception. Now, I do have a couple complaints, but the 2 complaints I have, I believe, are very fixable. I have like 3 altogether, but there's 2 that are fixable. And by the way, I thought this was titanium. It's steel right here. No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying in my unboxing, I called it titanium. Tactical 2-hand opening, Ruben says exactly, yeah. The tactical 2-hand. The Civivi pintail lets him flip easily. Then he can eventually learn to use the thumb studs. That is actually a smart idea. And it comes in micarta, green micarta, or brown, with a satin finish. Do they have a black washed one? I know they have the Damascus ones. That's not a bad idea. I'm actually gonna. There we go. That's one definitely for the options. So far, I got the bow, the Elementum. They're all Civivis. Hey, they make a good knife. And that's gonna come up to the next question because we got some more things we need to get to. Boker Bombfire. Come on. I'm trying to go scroll down. How about a Spyderco Delica? That I think is another good one. I do. I do think that would be a good one, to be honest. I think that like if I just gave that to him, he would totally carry something like that. He would totally use it, totally everything. I think I'm just because of I know that's what he's used to. The back locks, traditional, slip joints. I kind of like I'm wanting to get him something with a more modern lock, I guess, but I maybe I shouldn't think like that, but the Delica is a great knife, especially for him, because that would be like a perfect knife for him. That new mini Solaris with the micarta scales and clip point blade is dope. I don't think I've seen that, to be honest. No, I haven't seen that. I didn't even know there was one. Something from Gonzo. You know what? I got 2 new Gonzos. You guys watch the unboxing, or not the unboxing, but the first impressions tomorrow, because I'm gonna make. I have a video. Basically, I haven't bought a new Gonzo in over a year, well over a year, probably closer to 2 years. The last one I bought was probably 2 years ago. So this new video is basically me checking out Gonzo's new knives and seeing if they're still as good or better than they used to be. So watch that video. Okay, so since we're talking about all this, because I think there's even a couple Kaisers that might not be like the mini Beglighter, right? I have the M4 one with aluminum on the way. Bang! That's a badass one. And even though that one's mine, I might not even have a problem buying him one of those. That's not a bad idea because that's got a snappy little detent and it's easy to two-hand. But I think even though it's not a flipper, yes, I know. Now I'm going back on what I said. So maybe I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, just M4, coated M4. So it's coated. I don't have to worry. He don't have to worry about the rust. Coated M4 with aluminum, that would be badass. But I do kind of want to get him something with micarta. The reason why with micarta is he's out in the cold all the time. So, and he works around things like oils and chemicals and this and that. So the micarta would be really good for being warm in the hand, having grip if your hands are wet. There's just so many things I think micarta would be beneficial for. So I'm leaning towards micarta. I got a catalog in the mail from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Anyone else get one and take a look inside? I saw a few knives worth checking out in there. I did not get one. The sons of bitches. Okay, so here's my next question. This is a good one. Let's say there's 4. I want to say 5. If somebody else can name the 5th one, we'll say 5. But out of the 4, I think we could all kind of agree, to some extent, right? Maybe it's arguable, but for the most part, we can agree that out of the 4 companies doing the best budget knives, bang for your buck knives, just good user knives, I would say Civivi, Kubi, Kaiser, and CJRB, right? If you guys have a 5th one, name it. We'll throw it in the list because I'd like to have 5. But out of those 4 companies, which one is doing it the best overall in 2021? Now, anybody could name one knife and say this one knife is the best knife. But overall, right? Not the one best knife, but out of their knives, out of their group of knives, who's doing it the best in 2021? Because remember, I do have the best of 2021 coming soon, and it's going to be basically about who's taking the cake this year. on Civivi's the best, you think, Russ? I think, man, Civivi's taken it the last 2 years. Civivi's killed it the last 2 years. Kaiser, man, Kaiser did kill it this year, didn't they? Kaiser stepped it up. They were like, move out of our way. Kubi in 2021 too. I agree. Kubi came, Kubi came out swinging at the end of the year. And I'm not saying the beginning of the year knives weren't great because they did have a few models, but the end of the year, I wonder if that was by design, because all companies, man, they want to be in the videos that are like the top 5 best companies of 2021, or the best budget knife of 2021, right? Your best chances of being on that list are coming out at the end of the year. You're in that honeymoon phase. I almost put Tucson on this list, but I wouldn't put Tucson in that category. I would put Tucson more in the premium line category. Not saying these companies don't make premium knives, because Tucson does, but Tucson, I think I'd put more in the Wii React category, not necessarily the Civivi, Kubi, CJRB area. But I agree, though, that they kill it all the time. They're always killing it. And if you're talking about the best bang for your buck knives with the best materials, best fit and finish, best everything, yes, Tucson killed it. Like, you might as well just tell everybody else to go home, because that's just the way it is. Civivi is kind of, I'm not going to say they're lame, because they're like, I really like this bow. I like a couple of their knives that they did, but they did piss me off with their lock bar access on a couple of their knives. Like the Hadros, I gave this away last night on Bees Blades video, or on his birthday bash. I love this knife. This is such a good knife, but man, I just hate that lock bar access. Now, I can do it. It's not that big of a deal, and it's an easy fix. I could easily fix this up, but I like good access to the lock bar. And since I'm giving it away, I'm not going to mess with it. But otherwise, man, you can be damn sure I would totally cut this lock bar access better. Civivi, Tucson and Kaiser, Tucson, Rucker, and QSP. I didn't name QSP in that list, did I? Well, I guess that would be the next question. Which one would be number 5? QSP or Boker or something? I think QSP would have to be number 5. I should have put them on the list. Boker Plus has, I know, that's why I literally just mentioned them, Chris. Boker Plus knives has some good budget knives too. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. And I have been more surprised by them this year than the last few years. So that says a lot, because like that Kansai is amazing. There was a couple other ones, but yeah, they definitely did some good shit. Kubi's definitely killing it. And oh man, I'm trying to get their other new knives. They have that one that looks like a Ferrum Forge. Oh man, I got to get that one. So Oregon and Logical are saying QSP. That's a good knife I didn't mention. I should have mentioned the Penguin, right? Why didn't I mention the Penguin? Man, I wish they did the micarta Penguin on bearings. QSP, Kaiser, and Concept. Okay, I did not put Concept on the list. The reason why is because they only have the 2 knives that I can think of that fall into these categories. They have the Main Street and the Cryo. If they have anything else, I haven't gotten it. Everything else has been on the next level, which they would totally be mentioned right now if we were talking about more premium knives. But right now we're kind of just talking about the under $80 category. Civivi, Kaiser, and Kubi all day. Okay. All right. But which one did it the best? Asher knives, I can't put them on the list because they're too difficult to get. They don't have enough yet, and I do agree. I actually thought about giving my uncle one of the Asher knives. That was actually one of the options. One, I only have thumb stud ones, so I couldn't give him a flipper knife, but they do have flipper knives coming, or whatever, they do have some, but it's just not easy enough to get for them to be on the list right now. I would put them on the list of the year maybe, but in our conversation right now, I don't think I could fit them in because too many people want them and can't get them. Right? I kind of want to put the knives in this category that we're talking about, knives that everybody can get without a doubt. Not saying that they don't sell out, but they come back quick. Kaiser made the biggest improvements. Yeah, still not number one, but definitely catching up. Kaiser did make the biggest improvements for under $100. And if you say under $150, they really did. But 100 and under, who else is doing 3V at $100? Who else is giving M4 under $100? They have the Kaiser Feist and the mini Beglighter in M4 in aluminum that just dropped. By the way, guys, they have a 20% off on Kaiser's website starting. I'll just tell you guys right now because I'm going to announce it a few times. I have some videos coming up. You guys should definitely watch them. But they have these dates coming up, and during these dates, the dates are from November 15th to December 31st on Kaiser's website. You can get 20% off. So up to 20% off. So that's awesome. Best Tech is really good, but man, I gotta get some more. You know, dude, the Kubi I am testing as we speak is doing outstanding. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'll tell you what, I seen that front flipper you got, and I want it bad, man. I want that. I went right. Dude, I almost used your link, Stasa, to pick up that same one you posted today, that front flipper. You sold it to me. I'll be honest, you sold it to me. I had already seen another review on it, and they loved it too. So that just made it. That made like it on my radar. And then after I seen you test it and the things you said, it's a steel liner lock. I'll be honest, I thought it was a titanium liner lock, but regardless, it's a liner lock that's titanium, not the liner itself, but the scales. So it's titanium scales with a steel liner lock, front flipper that looks very easy to deploy. And it looks badass, man. It looks badass. I really, really like that one. But the other Kubis, though, the ones in the category we're talking about right now, because that one's like $160. The ones like under $50, under $60 are murdering it this year. Just absolutely knocking it out of the park. I have not found one yet that I don't like. Now, the clip thing, I have a problem with. I don't like that they don't recess that clip, and it's too. They're trying to make it comfortable in the hand. They're trying to make it comfortable in the hand by not making it tall right here. But in the same process, they're making it where you're getting your pants over. It's not that great. However, if you guys don't know, you can use Civivi's clips. You just have to keep the same screws that are already on the knife because they have the T8 on this side. So, but you can put a Civivi clip will work just fine if you have an issue. I don't have that big of an issue with it, but I did switch it on one of my knives. And I might continue doing that with like Civivis that I'm not like carrying and stuff. Can I do that with this one? I think this is a Kubi clip. I think I switched it already on the one I sent. Damn it, I'm giving this one away. Fuck. Oh, guess what, guys? You guys got my damn video flagged. And I'm blaming it on you guys. That damn flashlight video, man. They took my damn thumbnail down. I don't know if you guys seen that, but they took it from me. They took my thumbnail and they said it violated YouTube's sexual content. You guys with your nasty minds. Kara is 100% fully clothed in that picture. She's wearing the exact same outfit in the video. She's wearing a winter coat and leggings. And in the video, you can clearly tell she's fully clothed. But in that picture that she edited, okay, not moi, she edited, yeah, it kind of looks like she's in a thong or something, right? Well, YouTube agreed. They thought she was naked. So they took it down. They took it from me, and I tried to appeal it. Within like 2 minutes, they were like, "Go fuck yourself." They didn't actually flag me, but they took it from me and said I couldn't use it. So whatever. But what's funny is that the picture that winds up popping up after, like the one that just naturally gets picked out of the video, is Kara running down or whatever she was doing, skipping down the trail. That's ridiculous. I've seen a lot worse thumbnails. I know. I didn't even think of it being bad. Like, it's her walking in our door. Like, we're outside right there. Like, we're in a garage. Like, we're walking in. Like, so to me, like, it didn't even grasp. But then after people started commenting, I looked and I was like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like that. Then when YouTube took it down, it's like, well, damn it. Because to me, it's like, your mind's going to take it however you want. But I would never let her not saying that she would anyways, but she wouldn't do it, let alone I wouldn't allow her to put some pictures like that up, which I wouldn't even have to say that because she wouldn't do that. But the thumbnail that was up wasn't provocative in any way. You guys just have some 12-year-old minds. Yeah, it's so weird, man. It's so weird. And yeah, I agree. I agree with that, Michael. Some of the thumbnails I've seen, and I'm talking about like some of the thumbnails they put with children. I seen a thumbnail the other day, and it's a girl talking about positions and showing her friends like good positions, let's say that. And she's literally doing the position in the thumbnail. And it's like you can clearly tell what she's doing in the thumbnail, but it's like, whatever. It's because you have a knife channel. They're not fond of them. That's true. Luckily, it was a flashlight video, though. So when they actually watched the video, they were probably like confused in a way. Oh. YouTube gave me an ad for OnlyFans, and yet they took down your thumbnail. Go figure, right? Exactly. Shout out to the OnlyFans members. It's a joke, guys. I don't have an OnlyFans. But if I... Well, now. Are we good? How about now? Yes or no? The perfect time and audio cut out. Okay. Good? Okay, good. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Damn Canada. Canadians are now attacking my microphones. All right. But that new Kubi, though, the one that kind of looks like a Ferrum Forge. I'm guessing that I don't know which one Stasa was testing, but that new one that looks like a Ferrum Forge mini Archbishop or something. That thing looks sweet. Yeah, they're always trying to silence me. Told you to hit that like button, dummies. Yeah, there you go. Hit that like button, dummies. Exactly. All right. Don't you guys forget about word of the day today. Jared, is your detent light on the new Roach? On the Kaiser Roach? No, mine's strong. The titanium one is, but the liner lock one with my Cara, nice and strong. And hey, if yours is light, G-Ball, it's easy to fix that. That kind of liner lock, the way that lock bar is, it's very easy to tune that. If you take it apart, don't bend it much. Just bend it a tiny, tiny bit towards the blade, and it will go a long way. But remember, like I said, just a little bit. And that's an easy one to bend because like a frame lock that's titanium, the difference between titanium and steel is titanium has a better memory. And what I mean by better memory, and this is one of the benefits to titanium on knives, is that so like if you take two sheets, a sheet of steel and a sheet of titanium, and you bent that titanium like this, and then you bent the steel like this, when you go to bend the steel like this, and you bend it all the way back and then let it go, it'll go like this. Like it won't go back to this, right? It'll be like that. Titanium, once it's bent and put in a position, you can bend it back and forth a bunch of times and it'll keep going back. The memory of it is really good. It has a good memory. I seen this actually on a test with sheets of steel versus titanium versus aluminum and all this stuff. And titanium's really good with that. And it's really strong. And like pound for pound, it's stronger than steel, but it's the same strength as steel basically, but pound for pound because it's lighter than steel, right? But anyways, so since the Roach is steel liners, it's easy to bend and get it to take the memory that you want. That's all I'm trying to say. Chad says, can someone tell me the date of the Kaiser sale again? Yeah, the date is between November 15th to December 31st. November 15th to December 31st. So it's going to be basically the end of the year. Till the end of the year, because what's that, tomorrow it starts. Once I get the thing in, which I got a couple knives coming, I think they'll be here tomorrow, or no, probably Monday or Tuesday. I'm gonna make that video. So also I got this is pretty exciting for me and for you guys I got, thank you, Bees. I've got, let's just leave that one up there, and shout out to Bees Blades. You guys better be sub to them. I got an affiliate program starting with Civivi. Jared, thanks again for hosting a great live stream. Thank you, man. Receive fixed blade replacement AD 20.5 from Demcode today. All is well for those wonderful. Woo woo. Awesome. Heck yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's awesome. Ooh, yes. Porsche 911 Turbo is the best. Not one of the best, the best. So be careful with your words right now. It's the best, all right? There is no substitute. Civivi offered me an affiliate program with them, which means that I'll be able to offer you guys discounts if you guys use my links, right? Or sorry, my discount code, right? Which my discount code will be Neevesknives. So if you go on to Civivi's website, and if you use my discount code Neevesknives, you'll save yourself a percentage. I forget what it is. It's not that much, but it's something off, right? Now, if you use my link to get there, when I put my link up, and if you use my discount code, it'll also benefit the channel. So, a little percent. But if you use my link and you don't use the code, you won't get the discount, but I'll still benefit. If you go there and you just use the code, I'll benefit and you get a discount. But if you use my link and get there and use the code, obviously you get the discount and I still benefit. So there's that. My wife bought me a knife yesterday, and it's now the most expensive knife in my collection. Holy cow, Stasa, lucky you. You got a keeper and an expensive knife. That's amazing, man. Good for you, man. So I noticed a lot of you guys didn't watch my my Jerry Moen tooling knife video, my most expensive knife purchase. I should have wrote that on the thumbnail. My most expensive knife purchase. Yeah, what knife is it, Stasa? What knife is it? Now, this thing has gotten way smoother. It is on loose bearings, but yeah, it got way smoother after I turned the camera off. Because it warmed up, because it was fresh from outside when I unboxed it, so it was super cold. Now, I'll be honest, guys, after I've played with it and stuff, the lock bar does kind of start getting to me. Not that it's bad, but they don't give you any access, but it's still okay. It's still easy to do. But on his custom, I remember he had this jimping, this exact jimping right here on the lock bar. So even though there wasn't no access, because it had that jimping, it made it so easy to unlock. Now, like I said, this one's not hard. It's not like the Civivi, whatever, the new knives that they've made, but I still wish that they would have done that jimping and or put a cutout there. What is the new knife, Stasa? Did you say it yet? But this is a badass knife, though. I like the blade shape. I love the ergos. This thing will be a great EDC. That's what it's good for. It's literally, because look at that blade shape, man. Tell me that's not a useful blade shape. You could, it's like a little laser for utility cuts, and it's nice and long for regular slicing purposes. Yes, I think it'd be better as a hollow grind, but it's not horrible geometry, but it could be better. But it's still good, like 118 thousandths blade stock thickness, so it's not like it's a thick blade or anything. So it'll slice just fine, and it's very comfortable in the hand. Let me see if Stasa answered. Oh shit. Oh, y'all will see the unboxing. Oh, he's holding back on us. Smart man. Smart man. That's what I do too. You guys won't watch if I tell you. If I tell you what it is, you won't watch. Good idea, Nick. Good idea. Yes, you guys are just gonna have to watch and see. Yeah, I know. Good for you, man. Don't give up the goods. Yeah, when's the video coming, Stasa? Hopefully soon, man, because I'm pumped already. Shit. I was definitely psyched to I put up the video. Oh, it's sitting over there. That new TW Designs Dawn. That knife's pretty cool. That's a badass knife. I'll have him message me the pictures, guys. I got insider information. I'm just messing with you guys. But no, good for you, Stasa. That's awesome. Possibly tomorrow. What's up, John? John Falls is in the house. All right. Big question. LMAX or M390? Go. LMAX or M390? Go. And you can say 20 CV or 204P, but or LMAX. Now, I'll be honest, I've tested way more 20 CV, M390, and 204P than LMAX. But damn it, man, I really like LMAX. I'll be honest. I think I'm on the fence, but I think I'm leaning towards LMAX. I don't like doing that when I haven't had as much experience as the other one. But from the experience I've had with LMAX so far, it seems that that it's a little more consistent than M390. LMAX all day, like the extra toughness. There you go. We got M390, LMAX. I think LMAX is winning this one. LMAX, Q1 Fiend says M390. Now, Hollywood, LMAX. Now, the thing with LMAX that I like saying about the consistency, what I mean is that when I'm sharpening it and using it, so far, like I said, I haven't had as much experiences with M390, so I got to put that into consideration, that's a possibility of why. But with M390, I've just noticed a lot more variations. Like I'll get one and it will sharpen up so good. And in that case, if we say the best LMAX and the best M390, or the best LMAX and the best 20CV, I might possibly lean towards the other one, but that's not reality, right? So when I look at which one would I rather have on, any said production knife, I think I'm going to go with LMAX because it seems like it's more consistent, and I really like the edge it takes, man. Holy cow, does it take a good edge? It takes such a good edge. Stas says, it's definitely not something I would have bought myself, but I still love it. That's what's up. And sometimes the best knives are the ones that you probably wouldn't have bought yourself. But over a little bit of time, you shortly start loving it more and more and more. Then, like, by the next year, it's like, damn it, I love this knife. I've had so many knives like that it's like, man, I totally wouldn't have bought this, but I am so glad I have it. And like, it's hard to get people to understand that, or like to capture that. Like especially if it's something that, other people wouldn't like just jump right onto, but if they did, they would know. It's like, but I don't know what you got, but I love those experiences. Some of the best knives, man, are the ones that like I wouldn't have bought, but I'm so thankful I got. Like, the Benjamin Griptilian, I used to hate that knife. Hate it. I never liked it. Kara bought me one and I fell in love. But looking at it in pictures and trying it at Bass Pro Shop, I didn't like it. I didn't try the one with the hole, though. I tried the thumb stud version, and for whatever reason, I thought it was ugly. Then after getting one, I fell in love. Never had LMAX? Oh, man, you got to try some LMAX. Breeze, Russ is asking you a question. S60V, US 90V. Why was the landlord seeing a psychiatrist, a clinical psychiatrist, and a licensed counselor? Good question. Haven't had the chance to test either yet, but LMAX. Okay. Remember the old ZT LMAX, the whole uproar about it? I do not remember the uproar about it, but I do remember what that they used to use it a lot. What was the uproar? Were they running it soft? I bet that's what the uproar was. They were definitely running their S35 soft. Why, Breeze? Why? They had an apartment complex. How is the LMAX on the Ace Grand? Beautiful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Mine's fantastic. Which I can't say that about all their M390. But I also can't say, say their M390 is bad, but I've had variations between their M390. I see the thing. I'm trying to get to it, guys. I'm behind. Patrick, thank you, brother. Jared just picked up the Kubi 122. Hope everyone is well. Awesome. Hell yeah. Good knife. That is like, that knife kind of fits like the Delica category, where it is, obviously it can be a great primary. Anytime I call a knife a great secondary, I'm not saying that it's not a good primary. What I'm saying when I say it's a great secondary knife, I mean, and it has nothing to do with like, and I guess the terminology means you have your main carry and then your secondary carry. But what I mean when I say that mostly is that it's a fine detail knife. It's a knife that you can do the small tasks with, the finer things with, and it's not like a workhorse. It's not something you're going to break out for your everyday recycling or your long-term recycling, right? Could you do it? Yeah, you totally could. But usually you want a little bit longer of a blade, but like this would be a fantastic, great secondary. but it could be totally a primary. It's just that this is a great detail knife. Yes, you could do some recycling with it, but it'd be really good in, just cutting cords, cutting straps, cutting strings, picking at things, picking the splinter out, all those little details that, to be honest, are probably 90% of cutting tasks. No, I haven't heard of S60. I haven't. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. No, I haven't heard of S60V. Man, I'm just out of the loop, I guess. I'm gonna have to go kick the corner of a wall or something and teach myself a lesson, because I have never heard of it. Never heard of it. Not at all. At least I can't think of it. Like your opinion on custom knives, we can't get right. Like your opinion on custom knives we can't get here in Europe. Those wrinklers, MTECs, any extra quality knives. What kind of more mainstream brands can we buy and still get the proudly made in the USA? If you're wanting like proudly made in the USA customs, I mean, the chat would probably tell you better than me. But there's obviously the Koenigs, the Haptics, the Sharp by Designs. You could go with knives like Millet that are more I think they do like not customs, but more mid-tech, I think. But you could also go with like Olamic. Olamic isn't like 100% USA. Their parts are made in Italy, and then they, do the work here. So, most of it's done in the USA. That's a really good one. What else? Jerry Moen knives. That's USA. He's got some Riet designs like this one, but his customs. He's got customs. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of them. EOS uses S6 or S60V or 60V. If you're buffering, you either have some bootleg Russ Kegel internet or you live in Canada. LMAX has a tight target to get it at peak performance. Yeah, so does M390 really. I just, like I said, I haven't had enough of it to like just be, just all out. This is my favorite compared to M390. But as far as what I've experienced versus, my M390 experience, I like LMAX better. Now I could just be lucky, and the handfuls of LMAX I've handled were just good. And I've had a lot of great M390 20CV 204P, a lot of great. So I'm not, and to be honest, I kind of like 20CV even better than M390, which I know that doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I've had it where a lot of it's good, a lot of it's great, but some of it is not that great. I've definitely felt my fair share of soft M390. Jared, are you going to do SOG review soon? I contacted SOG and asked them what's up with because they took down my address and all my information to send me something, but it never showed up. So I contacted them, waiting for them to reply. But yes, I am, or at least hopefully. Any opinions on Demco's D2? I have no opinion on it. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I imagine it's as good as you're going to get for D2. But I don't know. Because is there D2 stuff USA? Or is that because that's the 80/20s you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried it. It's my understanding from the last live, if you are Canadian, you are really just something else. Right. Especially if you're French Canadian. If you want buffering, pop down to Western Australia. So S60V is a steel jet. Yeah, I just haven't. I've never heard of it. I I don't know if I'd like it or not. I can't really speak on it. I've never heard of it, never used it, never even seen it. At least not that I can think of. Um, does anyone own a Moomert? I have no idea. A credit card knife? I have no idea what that is. Okay, I got to catch up again, so I'm going all the way down to the bottom of the chat. I appreciate you guys understanding, and if you left a comment that you want me to 100% see, leave it again. Jared, we need to get to release the malice, but with better detent and a flipper delete. I agree, but that's not on them. That's on Fair and Forge. So, because that's a Fair and Forge design. So, what we'd have to do is talk to Fair and Forge and ask them to do another batch of either non-flipper versions, like just cut the hole completely out, right? Don't put the grooves in there. Just cut the hole completely out. Do that, or just increase the detent and make a new one and a hollow grind. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. HCR 390. Now somebody's going to tell me that's a real steel. Man, I don't know. I know about 10V, but I just don't know about S60V. Do you still have the CRKT BT Fighter? I do not. I had one, but I also had one in for sharpening. I gave one away. The guy that I gave it to passed away too. Hit that, rest in peace to him. Hit that like button, you dummies. So since we were talking about D2, right? D2. So CPM D2 and regular D2. Most of you guys know the difference. Some of you guys might not. What is the difference? Well, the difference between CPM D2 and regular D2 is CPM D2 is powdered. Okay, it's a powdered metallurgy. It's a powdered steel rather than just the regular D2. Now, what's the benefits with having it a powdered steel? Well, the grain structure of the steel, it's going to be more fine grained. Now, that means it's going to increase toughness. So you're going to get an increase in toughness. So CPM D2 will give you more. It'll be a tougher steel than regular D2. Now, edge retention will go up a little bit. I think with the testing that I seen, it wasn't much. It was like 7%, I think. If my memory is correct, I think it was 7%. So that's not that much. You most likely would never notice that in cutting or anything, but it does go up a little bit. Now, yeah, smaller carbides, but it's because regular D2 has the larger carbides. So the CPM D2 being a powdered version is going to have smaller carbides, but still the same amount, but it's going to be more tighter grain structure of the steel. So, which is going to, right? Something that's tighter is going to be stronger than something, that's not as tight. If that makes sense. I try to break down things in layman's terms, like, how I'd want it being told to me, because I remember when I first got in this community, I didn't understand anything anybody was saying. I might as well have been watching the Spanish channel, right? There's some words I get, some words I don't. Like, I understand a couple of the words you're saying, but I don't understand everything you're saying. Oh, man. S60V CPM 440V is an excellent steel, has better edge retention than M390 and slightly better toughness depending on HRC. Corrosion resistance is not as good, but still fair. Thank you, Spanish. I appreciate that. Next thing though, with most powdered version steels, right? I think with all powdered version steels, because there's a bunch of them. We have the powdered 9CR or regular 9CR. We have 154 CM, CPM 154, D2, CPM D2. And then there's also other steels that are powdered form steels. Like I believe M390 and I think LMAX is a powdered version steel. Anyways, yeah, I think so. Anyways, so But with the powdered version of blank steel, yes, the steel is going to be tougher with the CPM version. Now, I don't always think that that's a good thing. Now, there are some steels that, yes, I think the powdered version is better. But on the other hand, I have some that I personally don't like as much. And I think maybe it is from the fine grain structure, because maybe before it was a powdered version, the carbides were bigger. Now, even though it's like the same amount of carbides, now the carbides are smaller. So like when I sharpen it, I I like a certain type of edge. And just because I like that kind of edge doesn't mean I'm going to get that kind of edge, right? Depending on the steel, depending on the heat treat, depending on all the other variables, equals whether or not I'll get the edge I want on blank knife. So I personally, like, if I'm going to be sharpening a knife, I want to get the most bite I can out of an edge. Now, not that might not be for everybody. Some people might not really care about that. As long as it'll shave hair and cut through paper or whatever, they're fine. But sometimes I've noticed with some of those steels, the powdered version, some of them don't get the amount of bite that I want in the edge. Now, some do, because like there are a lot of powdered steels that are amazing. Like that's how they are. They're already made in a powdered version. So, like we were saying, like M390, right? M390 is like that. It's already a powdered steel. What do you think of, which actually this is going to go into word of the day here in a second, to be honest. What do you think of the new Civivi that came out without thumb stud opening holes? Should knife makers give us multi-opening folders? I mean, not everybody cares about like this one. It's just the flipper. I personally have no problem reverse flicking it, but B's blades, he couldn't reverse flick it. This is really easy for me. But I don't think a lot of people don't care. A lot of people just want to be able to have a good, solid deployment. And sometimes people look at it as having another deployment is just going to be in the way. And I mean that, like, say if this had a hole, right? If this had a hole, well, that means that hole, I have to clean that hole, because when I cut, stuff's going to get in there. If it had a thumb stud, the thumb stud could possibly get in the cutting path. Not usually, but it's possible. So like some people just want a nice clean blade because they get it dirty, they get it nasty, they don't care about action. They want to just be able to take it out and cut with it, especially if it's a work knife. Because a lot of work knives, you're not really able to fidget with your knife. You just, you're working with it. You can reverse flick that one. I don't know. In the live, I don't think you could. Was it this? I thought it was this one that you tried and you couldn't do. Maybe I'm wrong. I called B's blades out and I was wrong. Yes. Yeah, if it's got a hole, now you got to clean that hole. Especially if you're cutting cheese, like Nick Shabazz would say. So, word of the day. We're just going to skip right to word of the day. What the hell did I say there? Okay, I forget what I said there. All right. We'll get to them topics here in a second. Word of the day, carbon. Word of the day, carbon. You guys have heard that word tossed around a lot. Carbon steels, carbon in the steel. So what is carbon? What the hell does carbon mean? Word of the day. So carbon steels. So you've heard of, it's a carbon steel, right? Carbon steel. So that's usually a term for a non-stainless steel. So it's a term used to describe a non-stainless steel. Carbon steels are good for milling machines, cutting tools, chisels, cutting tools. High strength wire, because as the carbon content rises in the steel has the ability to become harder and stronger. So as the carbon content raises in the steel gets harder and stronger, while also becoming less ductile. So, carbon is a non-metal, which has two main forms, diamond and graphite. Diamond and graphite are pure forms of carbon. So that is the word of the day, carbon. So carbon, the pure forms of carbon would be like graphite and diamond. Now a non-pure form would be like charcoal. So charcoal is a non-pure form of carbon. But carbon, when we put it in the steel, as you know, depending on the percentage or the amount of carbon in the steel, depends on how the higher it goes, the tougher the steel goes. That's usually what it's for. But like I said, it gets less ductile though. So, and it also, the higher the carbon level, the less you're going to be able to weld on it. So the less weldability it's going to have. So, and also the less chances it has of, like, you're going to have a higher temperature of melting. So high carbon steels don't melt as easily. So those are just like little details. I didn't really need to add any of that in, but yes, it makes the steel stronger, but it's also non-stainless. So that's why when we say carbon steels, we're usually talking about a non-stainless steel. Yeah, Michael, private jets. Okay. 9CR18 damage steel. What is your opinion? 9CR18 MOV in Damas steel. What is your opinion for this steel? Okay, so Damas steel would be RWL 34, and I forget what the other contents are. Anyways, so 9CR powdered Damascus is basically a version like Damas steel. It's not Damas steel though, but and I don't know if Damas Steel is making Damas Steel with a 9CR. As far as I know, Damas Steel has to be RWL 34 mixed with steels that do really good with RWL 34. RWL 34 is very similar to 154 CM. But 9CR though, they have a good 9CR Damascus going around right now. It's a powdered 9CR mixed with 440C and another steel. And with mixing the powdered 9CR with the 440C, and I'm not sure the third steel, if there is a third steel, but they mix it together, and that's basically the stuff that like Civivi's using, Concept is using, and it gets really good edge retention. I don't know if the grain structure with the mixture between the powdered steel and the non-powdered steel, how that mixes together, and why it winds up becoming so good, but it does. And as for Damascus, it's a really good quality Damascus, like really, really good. Even with the edge retention testings, it's done really good. So better than regular 9CR for sure. Well, even powdered 9CR, I'm pretty sure just regular powdered 9CR gets a little bit better edge retention than regular 9CR. Now, it might be similar to like the CPM D2 and D2, where it's only like 7%, but it is something. But it's definitely going to be tougher. But yeah, I do like that powdered 9CR. Now, I did see one test with it where it had similar, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that it had similar edge retention to close to S35. Now, that was Civivi's Damascus. All right, let's get some more of these topics. All right, so I was going to bring up some measurements online and show you guys how to read them, but we're going to pass that one today. So what is the difference between a fixed angled edge and a freehand edge? Besides the obvious, right? The obvious is fixed angled system means I take my knife and I put it in a system, in a clamped system, and then there's a stone that's on a rod, and I take the rod and the stone and I sharpen it, right? Freehand is I take the knife and I put it to the stone. Okay, besides that, what is the difference in the edges? So one, Jared is on point with topics. Damn right I am. So the difference is one, the fixed angle system, right? So just talking about the fixed angle system, the rod being on a fixed angle means that one, the edge, and I'm talking about from being properly done, it's going to be nice and flat, super flat. It's going to give you a perfect V grind, right? All the way down your edge. And it's going to have a consistent angle all the way down your edge from heel to tip. Now, so that's kind of the benefits with it, that you're going to get a perfect flat edge and it's going to be a perfect angle. And also when you flip it, the angle will be perfect on both sides. Now, some of the downfalls with that would be that depending on the grind, right, you have the same angle going across the edge. So whatever imperfections are in that edge will stand out much more on a fixed angle system, because you can't change, like you can't do half the edge in one angle and then in that one little piece of the edge, say if my grind is off right here, right? I can't do 17 degrees right here, then do 20 degrees right here, and then finish with 17 degrees. You can't do that, right? So whatever the differences are in the grind will come out. Now, there's also other things that are good and bad about them, but when we talk about a freehand edge, not all, but a lot, most freehand edges are convexed. So instead of it being a perfect V grind, we have a convex edge, right? It's just the nature of you not being a robot, of you having some fluctuation in your edge. Now, me personally, I try to get the most perfect V grind I can get. However, I also do convex edges too. So just depending on the knife, depending on what somebody requests, blah, 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 blah. However, there's always going to be a tiny bit of convexing, which is not bad, because with convexing brings toughness. So the fixed angle system, while it might get you a perfect V grind, it's not going to be as tough as a freehand edge. A freehand edge will always usually, unless if you do hold that angle perfectly. Now, another thing about the benefit is that when you're going across the stone, you have the ability to manipulate the angle. And I don't mean like you're going to go across the stone and then change angle, but when you're going across the stone, right? When you're going across the stone, you have the ability to lift. You have the ability to, like when you're like going through the belly, you can roll your wrist. You can just lift straight up. You can even, you have the ability to kind of manipulate areas. So just little areas, like say if your tip on one side is ground a little thicker. Well, on one side, you can dip your wrist, and then on the other side, you can just go right with the same angle. So you can try to match it a little bit better. With a fixed angle system, you might not be able to. You just have to go with what's there. But not saying that, because in most cases, and not most, in a lot of cases, a fixed angled edge can look cleaner and better in some instances. There's going to be benefits and negatives to both of them, right? Now with a freehand edge that is as close as possible to a V ground edge, you're still going to have, and don't get me wrong, I've had perfect, like so many times, like I can damn near do a perfect V ground edge. But sometimes it's not a bad idea to have a little bit of convexing, because you're going to have the same amount of sharpness. The only difference is you're going to have it a little bit tougher. Now, I have noticed that sometimes when I do a perfect V grind edge, it has the chances of microchipping if it's a very hard steel and it's a very low angle. So sometimes when you are trying to do a very low angle, like say 15 degrees or something on a hard steel that's not really a tough steel to begin with, it might be a better idea to have a little tiny bit of convexing that you can barely see. Like it takes almost like somebody who really understands what they're looking at to see that. And so what'll happen is because sometimes, just like with anything, right? If you take a knife, right? And if you don't have a tough steel on it, but it's supposed to be a tough knife, well, you can make the geometry thicker. The geometry being thicker will increase the toughness. Now, say if you want thinner geometry, well, then you might want a tougher steel, right? Because then you'll get your toughness from that steel rather than your geometry. Same thing with your edge. Your edge, if you're laying back the edge for cutting geometry and cutting performance, well, then you might want a convex edge because now you can increase the toughness while also increasing the cutting performance. Now, if you increase the cutting performance by laying back the edge and you did it in a V grind, yes, it'll have the cutting performance, but it might be a little bit more fragile. So you do have to pick your battles. But also one thing I like about freehand is the attention to detail. You can really be really detailed with it. Now, you can do the same thing with a fixed angled system. So I'm not saying you can't do that with the fixed angled system. Of course you can. But there is, I guess, in my opinion, this is just solely my opinion, because you can get the same feeling from a fixed angled system, and I sharpen with a fixed angled system, so I'm not saying you don't get that same level of passion when you're doing it, because you do. But there's just something therapeutic about freehanding to me when you're putting across a stone and you're feeling the stone and you can feel the angle and you're literally feeling the edge bevel slide across the stone. And if you lift a little bit, you'll feel you lift because you'll feel the grit hit your edge rather than that nice flat V grind edge you're making go across the stone. And then if you're wanting a convex edge, I need to do a video on how I do my convex edges. I've said I was going to do that a couple times, but I haven't. There's an art to hand sharpening, though. Yeah, there is. So there's a difference between a perfect freehand edge and a freehand edge. You can freehand edge okay. This is the thing with freehand edges. Majority of people are going to do a convex edge. They're not going to have the ability to hold a perfect angle for the entire sharpening. You might be able to hold a perfect angle once or twice across the stone, but being able to do it 362 times or however many times you go across the stone, it can be very difficult. But you can do it, but it does take a lot of practice. That being said, you don't necessarily need to try. You could just go into it knowing you're going to do a convex edge because you're most likely going to get one anyways. Yes, try to hold the best angle you can because you're still going to have to stay in that ratio. You don't want your edge bevel massive in some areas or on one side and not matching on the other. So when you're sharpening though, just it's okay that your edge is convexed. And also you can learn to blend your edge. You can learn, how to get the grip pattern really good, even though it might be slightly convex. And that's why and plus it's easier. It's so much easier for you to go into freehanding expecting to do a convex edge. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't just get better and better and better and better and then eventually start doing V grinds. But if you want to get the best quality freehand edge you can get, just go into it doing convex edges. And yes, try to hold your angle the best you can, but it's not going to be detrimental, because you're kind of wanting a little bit of a rounded edge. Jared, I think the SOG Terminus XR lock in green micarta would be a good gift to your uncle. I gave one of those to Breeze. I agree it would be, but I don't know. I was kind of wanting because that thing's it's a little blocky. Like I was thinking something more slimmer. Like I know it's not that much larger than the Elementum, but it is in like in areas. So and it says SOG on the clip. I don't like that. I don't want him to have to walk around SOG on his clip. I don't want to do that to him. All right, let me catch up. Oh God, he finally read it. What? Jared, oh, the SOG one. My sea snake is the first knife I freehand sharpened, and the bevels are uneven. Still stupid sharp though. I won't be freehand sharpening my customs anytime soon. Yeah, you don't want to start off with doing your high-end knives or anything. You do want to start off by doing your more budget-friendly knives and things like that. But if you treat it, think about this. When you go into sharpening, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go into it willy-nilly. You don't want to go into it saying, I can replace this. It doesn't matter if I fuck it up. Grab that knife, and when you sit down on that stone, pretend it's your best custom. Pretend it is unreplaceable, because that way you will check. You'll go across the stone twice and you'll look at it and be like, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Do you know what I mean? Go into it like that. Now go into doing it happily, go into doing it, in a good mood, but go into it thinking that this I want to make this perfect. Right? I don't want to mess this up. You will, because then you'll do things you would not have done. You like say the wrong angle, right? You're gonna make sure you match that angle. You're not gonna, because I even do that, man. There's times like when I'm sharpening certain knives, it's like, man, I don't give a shit. I just want a sharp edge on this thing. And of course, it ain't perfect when I'm done with it. It's sharp, but of course, it's not perfect because I don't care if it's perfect. But that doesn't do me any justice when it comes to learning how to do a perfect edge or getting in the habit of doing a perfect edge. Because I'll tell you what, when I sharpen, I check my knife every few passes. I'll go across the stone a few times and then I'll check it. I'll look at every detail and see where I'm lifting, where I'm not. Go back on the stone, a few passes, start looking at it. I spend a lot of time looking at the edge. And if you get in that habit, because a lot of people, what they do is they rush. They think like, I got to get through this. I got to get through this stone. I just want to get through this stone. I want to get to the next stone. Stop that. Your first stone is the most important. Forget about all your other stones. No other stone matters but your first stone. Your first stone is the most important stone you can use. So do not care about any other stone, and don't go into it trying to get it done. Go into it trying to follow the grip pattern. That's it. I always say that. Follow the grip pattern. Get the grip pattern from the top of the edge bevel all the way down to the very tip of the edge. Top of the edge bevel to the tip of the edge. So it's going to go all the way down. Unless if you're holding your angle high, then it'll go from the tip of the edge to the top of the edge bevel. But usually it goes from the top of the edge bevel down to the tip of the edge. And watch it go from heel to tip. You're going to have areas in the heel and probably at the tip that are going to be the last spots to get hit. And on certain blade shapes, like with little recurves, it might be like this little belly area. Usually, though, it's the heel and the tip that's the last you hit. But just take it slow, easy, and keep checking on that edge. Keep staring at it. Enjoy watching that grip pattern go on that edge. Because if you're paying attention to that and watching that, you're not rushing. Because you don't have to. You can see how much time it's going to take. You can tell. You don't, like there's no wonder whether or not, you're almost done or not, or how much longer you have. There's no time limit. It's just when that edge bevel has the grip pattern from the top to the bottom. That's the time limit, and then chasing the burr, don't do that. chasing the burr, you might not be done and you have a burr from the heel to the tip. You will absolutely, today, the edge I was sharpening today, heel to tip, I had a burr on both sides probably 5 times before I was ever done with the edge, because there was the spot at the very, very heel and the very, very tip that took more work. So if I would have moved to the next stone, it would take me twice as much work. So I just stayed on that first stone. I got a burr on this side. Well, I flipped over and I would work on this side. And I basically worked on both sides evenly so that I wasn't doing so much work on one side and making the edge bevel small to where it would be like this. I worked on them both at the same time, working the top of the edge bevel on both sides, working it down till it gets to the tip of the edge. Now, my entire edge has a burr on it, but on both sides at the very tip, I still have some the back of the edge bevel. So the top of the edge bevel has a little bit left and a little bit at the heel. I can see because I'm chasing the grit pattern. So I can see that I haven't hit it yet. And I continue to work on it until I do. Just hurry up and get it done. Is carbon steel blades much easier to sharpen than stainless steel blades? It can be, but not necessarily. So the biggest factor is going to be how thick it is. So like say a stainless and that's not even true anyways. Like it just depends on the steel, but no, geometry is going to be your biggest factor. How thick it is. That's going to be your biggest thing. A lot of people like S90V compared to HCR. Yes, S90V takes longer than HCR, but S90V at 10 thousandths behind the edge will be way faster than HCR at 20 thousandths behind the edge. So, you know, it just depends on the geometry and everything. But no, it's not hard. I do find that you can use your first stone as diamonds on carbon steels, but carbon steels for your finishing stone, not always, but in some cases respond better to aluminum oxide, natural stones, things like that. For your finishing stone, you can do it with your first stone. You can use the diamonds, but when you move on to your second and third stone, you might want to use, like, especially if you're not getting the best results, try using a different type, a non-diamond stone. Now, that's not always, but in many cases, I usually try to do my last 2 stones, an aluminum oxide or a natural stone. Yes. You know what? I'm going to make an ASMR video for you guys of just all pull-through sharpeners. I'm going to buy the 5 best Amazon recommended pull-through sharpeners, and that's going to be the whole video. Just me fucking just through fucking pull-through sharpeners for you guys. Just for you guys. Mostly for us. Jared, did you watch a lot of Murray Carter videos learning to hand sharpen? No, I watched a lot of Jeff Jewell, Mike Emler, Michael Christie, who else? And a couple, Ruff Rooster, and a couple other people. Gotta love them pull-throughs, Russ. Yes, you do. Yes, the old white one that winds. I missed it. No, I lost it. It winds as the knife. Yes, that whines, that screams as the knife goes through it, Russ. Or I mean, Chris. Yeah, as the knife goes through it, you can hear the edge just screaming. Get me out of here. I just mount a pull through on the end of my sheets. Right back in the sheath. Edge destruction. That's brilliant. Brilliant one. There's going to be about 10 people that are going to listen to this and think that that's a good idea. Tri-State, what's up, brother? Tri-State EDC is in the house. You guys better be subbed to his channel by now. Sub to Tri-State EDC's channel. Awesome channel. How's everything going, Cole? Isn't that how he sharpened? That's exactly how he would sharpen it, but with a big one though. Like not those little ones because a rock stud wouldn't fit in one of those. They're a little too thick. He gets the big ones when he does the rock stud. Oh fuck, man! It would just oh my god, that would just kill me. Oh, I wonder how many views like a video like that would get. Like having like say a rock stud or something with one of those cheap big pull through sharpeners, sharpening one of those on there. Oh man. Like the question is like if you were gonna get 1,000,000 views, would you do it? You know, that type of thing. If you were gonna get 1,000,000 views, would you do it? The question is would the views pay for the knife? Because fuck that thing all up. Yes, go sub to Tri-State EDC. My kitchen knife block has a built-in pull-through sharpener in every slot. Ooh. Every time you pull it out, it sharpens it. So I wouldn't be as upset with one of those because it's a kitchen knife block. Those steels they don't take the best edges. And aside from using a belt sharpener, like when I sharpen knives like that, I recommend just getting a belt. Like when people send them to me, I don't want to charge what it would cost for a freehand edge. And I probably charge less because it sharpens so quick, or a fixed angle system. Now, if it's a good chef knife, yes. But like just like the cheap punched out stainless steel knives, I'll throw them on my belt for you. I'll sharpen them on my belt and it'll take like 30 seconds per knife. So with something like that, I ain't too mad at like a kitchen knife. Kitchen knives, that's not that big of a deal. The one thing I would say though is that it makes me wonder how much metal you're eating. So you might want to get that checked, knife sergeant. You might want to get your blood levels checked on eating too much steel. Yeah, and I'm saying that because like when you pull it through, it's right. It's like it makes the edge sharp. It feels sharp, but it's not going to last. Like you can use it once. And the reason why you use it once and it feels dull is because it's going like this to your edge. It's just going to your edge, just like destroying it. Like on both sides, they're going to be uneven. And it's just scratching both sides of the edge, just tearing it up. You wore your knife shirt today? I got to get some knife shirts, man. I got to get some knife shirts. I'm just messing with you, Sergeant. I know you do. What you could do is just strop it afterwards. Stop it and then clean it. You actually might not have horrible results with that kind of steel because, it's punched out stainless steel. So pulling it through, not that big of a deal. It's not a knife you're really worried about destroying the edge. And you do have to look at cost ratio, right? It's cheap knives, you're just trying to make them sharp enough to cut food. And you don't want to put too much effort into sharpening them because they're not going to hold an edge anyways, right? Especially if you're using them on ceramic plates and shit like that. So you want them as sharp as you can fast. But just having a strop or a ceramic rod would do just as much better justice. Take a ceramic rod and just go just once on each side. Just take a ceramic rod and just go on it and then hit it on a strop. That would do that. I highly recommend everybody gets a ceramic rod and a strop for their kitchen. It's so smart to have a ceramic rod in the kitchen. Not the metal rods that come in the blocks. Throw that thing in the garbage. Get a ceramic rod and replace it. Replace that metal rod with a ceramic rod. Yes, you'll keep your knife sharp forever because that the ceramic is so much harder than that punched out stainless steel. You can literally sharpen on it if you want to. Now obviously you could always just sharpen it once a year and just tune it up throughout the months on the ceramic rod strop. You'll have a sharp edge all year. Liang Ma EDC's my card shaman, does he? Yeah. Do that, Samurai. Look at that under a microscope after pulling it through one of those. Oh, look at it compared. I should do that. I should do that video. I should buy one of those pull through sharpeners just to show what it does to your edge compared to like my freehand edge, just microscopically. What does it look like? And then I should do like, say, a ceramic rod. What does it look like when you do a micro bevel? What does it look, like just do all those under a microscope? That's a good idea. Thanks, Samurai. Right now I have I've just been around the house today, but I got this bad boy. But earlier I was carrying this guy for a little while, the big belly. I switch out during the day. So I almost put this back in the pocket. I really like this, but the only problem is, man, that it's not sharp no more. I gotta sharpen it. Same thing. I'll be honest, guys, man. I wasn't happy with my 2 years edge. My 2 years edge, man, it did not last long at all. And I'm not saying that the steel has an issue or anything. It didn't come sharp. It really, like, when I got it out of the box, it really wasn't that sharp. So I gotta resharpen this, man. It's just just doing dumb things around the house, it was fine, but I can't stand, like, that's one of my now, right? It's like before it wasn't that big of a deal, but now my level of sharpness has went up so much higher than it used to be. And not even the level of sharpness, but just the quality of the edge, I guess you could say, where it's like and this is narcissistic on some levels, where I use it a couple times and I want to strop it. or it's still very sharp and go through paper, but I'm touching it and it's a clean edge. It'll cut right through paper, and I am touching it like there's not enough bite on it. Right? It's like, yeah, it's sharp. It'll go through paper, but there's not enough bite. So then I want to sharpen it already. Don't start doing that, guys, because that just you'll wind up sharpening life away from your knife when you don't need to. If your knife will cleanly cut through paper, you have a sharp edge. Leave it alone and strop it until it starts stopping doing that. But no, this one though, not sharp to me. I'm sure it would have went through paper before I started using it and carrying it, but now I guarantee it won't. I can guarantee this thing won't go through paper. I gotta put a new edge on this. I got a bunch of knives in for sharpening. Ooh, I got a really nice Herman custom right now. I want to show you guys. I'll save it for a video. The best sounding knife I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard a knife that sounds as cool as this one. This thing is, it's just wait. I'm going to put it in a video. You guys will see. This thing sounds like a guitar. I'm not joking. It sounds like a damn guitar. I should just go grab it and show you guys really quick, because it's like music to your ears. I got to go cleanly through my Smoky Mountain knife catalog paper. Yeah, I use a couple different things. I use paper towels. That's one thing, but that's for a fresh edge. Most edges won't go through paper towel that's not fresh. Some will, but you know what I mean. But yes, phone book paper, catalog paper. Like I have a Granger catalog. It's basically phone book paper, and that's what I use. I use that. Even regular paper, like the thin notebook paper, can be good, but it's not as fine as that stuff. I used to use tissue paper. That's ridiculous. Does anyone know why Microtech blades have become so second rate? I don't know what you mean. Mostly folders. Use a factory edge or sharpen it before using it. Use a factory edge or sharpen it before using it. I say use it. I say use it unless if it comes not sharp. Like I have knives that they just, when I got them out of the box, they needed a sharpening. So I used them, but not long. Like I use them like a half a day and then I sharpen them, because I do want to get the most life I can out of a knife. I never want to remove steel that is not needed, like that it'll still cut just fine for whatever I need still. But I always think about the thought of, well, sometimes I think about the weird things, like what if I run into somebody and, I tell them I sharpen knives. I need them to see a sharp edge. But then I look at other things like what if I get into a situation, it's like, yeah, that thing will cut, the tape and open boxes and stuff. But what if I really need a, a, a fuck you sharp knife? Like I need a knife that's going to cut you to the bone type of knife or edge. I think about that in the back of my head, and it's like I might not run into that situation, but if I did, I'll have that edge. I like to think of that sometimes, but I still say from a factory, use the edge for a bit, then sharpen it. If you're wanting, because once you put a good quality edge on there, it'll last a while. However, you can make, if it's a good factory edge, use it. Use it, strop it, keep it going as long as you possibly can. That's what I say. If it's a good quality factory edge, don't resharpen it until it needs it. Why? All right. If it's sharp and it's good and you know the difference between sharp and not sharp. If it's sharp and you can tell it's a quality edge, use it as long as you can possibly do it. Then when it comes time, you can put a new edge on there and it'll be ready. Try to make that steel last as long as possible. That's a good idea, Winston. Have one on you that's just like, this is my cut you to the bone edge. I've had actually some pretty good edges from Spyderco. Not even just of lately, but like Spyderco, I'm not saying they're old stuff, but of recently, like the past year, maybe even a year and a half, 2 years, probably last 2 years. Their edges, man. I've actually thought their edges were pretty good. Now, I know a lot of people give them shit about their inconsistencies, and I'm not denying that. I'm not denying the inconsistencies in the grinds or the edges, but the quality of the edge, meaning sharpness and ability to be tough and all those things. I think they do 15 degrees per side and then micro-bevel at 22 degrees per side. I think that's how they do it. And they do that because it'll increase the cutting performance while making toughness. I do that a lot for people. People send me a knife and they'll want a 17, 15 degree edge. And I'll just recommend to them, like, this steel isn't the toughest steel. It doesn't have the best edge stability. You might want me to put a micro bevel on it. So, or even on my own knives, and I'll micro bevel. You can't see it, but it makes it to where at the very, very tip of the apex, it has a micro bevel. So what it does is it'll increase the toughness of that edge. So you have the ability of having the cutting performance and edge stability, basically. What do you think about do-it-your-own MDF sharpening wheel? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. MDF sharpening. I don't know what that is. My Manix 2 and S110V came wicked sharp. Still is wicked sharp. I got some, too, that are still wicked sharp. I got a couple Spydercos still on the factory edge. Stupid sharp. Like, even my Slish Buoy, still. I've done all kinds of shit with that thing. It's probably going to need a new edge soon. If I start using it, like if I used it for like the next few days or week, it would probably need it. But as far as right now, it'll cut paper clean, like really clean. It's still very, very sharp. Yes, I've stropped it, and I've probably touched it up, like honed it, but I have not sharpened it. It still has the factory edge. 99% of the time, I do a secondary micro bevel when I'm reprofiling blade. Yeah, I didn't used to be into them. I used to not speak against them. I've never spoke against them, but I said that they weren't my thing. Then I started doing them more often, and I had the experience levels of using so many different angles and so many different steels and so many of this and so many of that. And I started noticing good things from a clean micro bevel. So I recommend a clean micro bevel with certain steels, certain geometry, certain angles, so on and so forth. Is a micro bevel different than the secondary grind bevel? So a micro bevel is where after you sharpen your edge, so what you're doing is you have your primary grind, right? Your primary grind is this, right? This grind right here. That's your primary grind. Um, so So if this is your primary grind right here, and then this is the top of your edge bevel, starting your edge, your sharpened edge, right at the very tip of it, you put a micro bevel. So you're just basically putting a higher angle than you sharpen your edge with. So say if I sharpen my knife at 15 degrees per side, then at the very end, I'll take like a ceramic rod or a high grit stone, whatever, right? And I, instead of going from 15 degrees per side, I'll raise my angle and I'll do a couple passes with a high angle. And what it does is it creates a micro bevel. It's just a microscopic bevel. It's so small you can't see it without like a microscope or something, but it's a microscopic bevel at the very tip of your edge. So what it's doing is instead of your edge being very fine like this, it's making it like this on the very tip of a nice laid back edge. So you're still getting the cutting performance of 15 degrees per side, but you're going to make it stop from micro chipping. That's basically what it does. It stops it from micro chipping. So, and that happens. There's a lot of steels that when you start laying them back, especially if they have a high HRC or if they don't have good edge stability or so many different reasons, right? They could be very thin behind the edge and you laid back the edge bevel. So you're going to get the cutting performance still. You're just going to make it stop from microchipping and you're going to make it tougher. If you have a knife that you're going to be doing chopping with or anything hard use, I recommend a micro bevel because it can totally prevent chipping, microchipping, and even edge rolling. Ooh. I was going to say spider coat. What the hell? I hate when that happens. How do you know when you're creating an invisible microbubble versus ruining microscopic effects? So you don't do like you're not spending time. You're just doing a couple passes. So like say when I come off the stone. Or you can even think about this in a fixed angle system or freehand, however you want to. But say I've done my clean edge. My edge is clean. It looks good. At the grit I want it to be, whatever the grit is. And it's a laid back. Let me get this off. And it's at a laid back angle. Now, all I do is I take my ceramic rod. And all I'm going to do is I already know my angle is like this, right? My angle is like this. So I got to be higher than that. So I'm going to do it like this. And I'm just going to go whoosh, one wipe, other side, whoosh, and I'm pretty good at holding an angle. So, make sure it's as close as possible. You'd like it to be matched, but you're not sitting there doing multiple passes. So that edge angle is going to be the same across the board because you're not doing multiple passes. If you did multiple passes, yeah, then it'll be wavy. But since you're just doing one swipe or two swipes, sometimes I do like this. I go 1, 2, 1, 2, then I'll strop. But there's no pressure there. So like when I'm removing a burr, I'm using no pressure. I'm using lighter pressure than I even have the weight of the blade. Like it's literally like this, like Like I'm not even putting the weight of the blade. Now, when I do a micro bevel, I'm basically using like the weight of the blade on the ceramic stone. So I want enough to where I can control the angle, but I'm not putting pressure. No pressure at all. The stone is going to it's going to cut. It's harder than the steel. So now I just need to control the angle. No pressure, just the weight of the knife. And it'll cut a clean micro bevel on the tip. Remember, the tip of the edge is fragile. It's so tiny and so thin and so small. It doesn't take anything to create a micro bevel. Now, you could do the same thing with a system. With a system, you're just going to raise the angle on your guide to, like, say, if you sharpened it 15 degrees per side, you're going to raise it to 22 degrees. And you're just going to take your ceramic stone or the last stone you sharpened with, and you're just going to do a clean. I would recommend using a ceramic rod, to be honest, or ceramic stone, but you're just going to take a clean swipe on both sides. But it's very gently. You're not using the pressure you use to sharpen because your edge is fragile. It's not like you have the thickness behind the edge of a regular angle. You're at the very tip of the apex. So that is fragile. You don't want no pressure. Continuous stropping also puts on a micro bevel eventually. Sorry guys. I don't know. I never had stropping give me a micro bevel. I normally don't overstrop though, but when you do overstrop, what I notice happens is that you roll the leather over your apex, knocking off the teeth you're trying to create. So you're trying to create teeth on an edge with a strop. Well, there's two reasons, right? A strop is being used for one, knocking off the burr and cleaning up the steel that's hanging off of the very tip of your edge. So when you're done sharpening, you have like steel particles just like hanging there on your edge. You're trying to knock those off and make a clean apex. Now, the next thing you're trying to do is you're trying to take your clean apex and put little microscopic teeth on it. So but if you let your edge roll on the leather, like, see, imagine, I'll just use it with a knife. You don't want the tip of your edge to roll on the leather because now you're just rounding it, basically. You want it to evenly just slide across it. You want it to be very, you want that leather or the abrasive on the leather. So your compound to just rub across the tip of the edge, and not even like this, but like that, just nice and gently across the edge bevel, because then because remember, there's the abrasive on it. The abrasives are like little tiny rocks. They're like little tiny jagged rocks. And when they hit the very tip of your apex, they're going to make little tiny microscopic chips. Those little microscopic chips are the teeth that you feel when you touch your edge. When you go like this and you feel and you're like, ooh, that's sharp. That's them little tiny teeth that the abrasive left behind. Make sure it's not one of you guys telling me I did something wrong. All right, where's Bruce's? Hey, buddy, I love watching your videos. I'm on deployment and will download everything you post between times when I get Wi-Fi, which isn't often. But me and my coworkers will sit down and watch them all. Bryce, that's awesome, man. Shout out to Bryce. Thank you, Bryce. I appreciate that. Shout out to Bryce. Let me see if I can't find this comment so I can pull it up. This community is amazing. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Oh, we found it. Shout out to Bryce Yarbrough. I'm going to read the comments again. Hey, buddy, love watching your videos. I'm on deployment and will download everything you post between times when I get Wi-Fi, which isn't often, but me and my coworkers will sit down and watch them all. Shout out to you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Shout out to you and your buddies. Most people using a ceramic rod are putting a micro-bevel on their knife and don't even know it. Facts. Chris Webb coming with the facts. Yes, absolutely. And it has mostly to do with pressure. Because if they have a burr, right? Because, okay, so when you're removing a burr and you're not creating a micro-bevel, right? And you're not creating a micro-bevel, what you're doing is the burr is basically like this. Like, see how this thing is? Like, this is the burr. And all you're trying to do is you're trying to get your that ceramic rod to just grab it and peel it off. That's what you're trying to do. It doesn't take any effort. The steel is already fatigued. The steel has been worked back and forth, or it's even just sitting there like this on the edge, hanging there. And all you gotta do is once the rod hits it, it just knocks it right off. But that takes no pressure. No pressure. You're just snagging it and pulling it off. So when you add pressure, you're knocking it off and creating a micro-bevel. That's why I say no pressure, less pressure than the blade even is, or than the knife even is. When I deburr on a ceramic rod, which you can totally use other things. You don't have to use a ceramic rod to knock your burr off. You can use the same stone that you're sharpening on. You can use a piece of wood and just drag it through. Literally take a piece of wood and go just like this. Take your edge and just drag it through. That'll, you don't tear into it. You just take your edge and just go right down it. And it'll tear the burr off. Then strop. You can just fatigue the burr by taking at the very end when you're done sharpening, just take a couple passes and then go to the strop. Because what you did was you took the burr and you went like this to it. And when you do that, it makes it so fragile. Think about bending a paper clip back and forth. When you bend a paper clip back and forth, it'll only do it a couple times and it'll just snap off. Same thing with a burr. A burr, always think of a burr like a paper clip. But once you got it fatigued, then you can strop and it'll tear it off, or all the rest of it, or the whole thing if you've already fatigued it. Micro bevels will also remove any remaining burr if you have a stubborn burr. Yeah, that's another thing. I should talk about that more often, stubborn burrs, because that, I mean, you a lot of times people run into burrs that are just they refuse to come off, like because whether it's the heat treat or whatever reason, right? Who cares what the reason is, but it's there and it fucking refuses to come off with the stone or with whatever. The ceramic rod is the most effective way to tear it off cleanly. But there's times, man, where like I'm trying to do it with my stone and I'll go back and forth multiple times and there's still a burr because the burr's just going it's like kind of like a paper clip that's made out of plastic. It's like it just will not snap. Because a paper clip, normally you just bend it once, twice, the third time it just snaps off. That's how that's how you want the burr to be. Not saying it will be, but that's how you want it to be. But yeah, sometimes you'll get a stubborn burr and it will go back and forth for days. So the best thing you could do is do the ceramic rod. However, like he was just saying, you have the ability to create a micro bevel now, especially if you get frustrated and you're like, get rid of this fucking burr, and you're just so mad you just want to tear it off really quick, then you'll create a micro bevel. So you might as well, like, if you just do it nice and gently. Now, another way I like to tear a burr off, teaching you guys my tricks, I do a reverse stroke on the stone. So I do this in between flipping, or so like say I do this while I'm sharpening and I do this at the end. Sometimes just depends on the steel, depends on how I feel. But say I sharpen this say I sharpen this side of my edge, right? I sharpen it, sharpen it, sharpen it. Now I'm going to this side where my burr is. Before I start sharpening, what I'll do is I'll go like this, and I'll do basically a stropping move on my stone. This is my stone. And I go like this. I knock the burr off like that. Now, sometimes what I'll do is at the end of sharpening, I'm at the very, very end, and I'm done. I'm ready to end it. I'm ready to hit my strop, but I have my burr and I need to remove it. So what I'll do is I will do a it's basically like stropping on your stone, and I'll just do it really quick. A trail leading stroke or whatever. And I'll just go just like that, very gently though. I'm not trying to create no pressure. Same thing with the ceramic stone. No pressure. All I'm trying to do is kind of like we were talking about the burr hanging off like this. I'm just trying to tear it off. So as soon as the stone touches it, it's going to snag it. You hope, but you know, for the most part, usually it'll snag it and tear it off. Now, if you have a stubborn burr, you know, you might have to do a couple, like one like this, and then flip to the other side and do it like that. But remember, no pressure, because then you'll mess up your edge finish. You don't want to do that. You don't want the scratches to wind up on your edge. All you're trying to do is take that very tip of that edge and let the very, very tip of the edge snag those burrs across the stone. You're basically just taking the burr and letting it snag into the stone and tear it off. That's it. Nothing else. But if you have a stubborn burr, you might have to go and do it twice, 2 or 3 times on each side, or once on each side. I still don't fucking get you. Chicago, have you been even listening to me? Have you even been listening? Stay long enough. You'll understand. That's hilarious. The wood trick. Wait. Where the hell did it go? The wood trick do the same thing. Yes, the wood trick can do the same thing. So where you just take a block of wood and you just wipe your edge on it. Now, the one thing I've noticed, this can happen, not likely, right? But if you have allowed your burr to get so big that it's a really, really big burr, you have the potential of basically, I don't know, you can call it carbide tear out, you can call it steel tear out. I don't care what you call it. But you have the potential of, because your burr is so big. And remember, I'm saying this is, this is under some circumstances. Your burr is so thick and so big that it's attached to other steel. Imagine this is the burr, right? And it's curled around the edge, but it's so thick that when it does tear off, it'll tear little chips with it. So I always recommend that you try to keep the burr as small as possible towards the end of the stones, or towards your last stones. You know, obviously your first stone, whatever, right? You're going to be deburring and doing all that through your next stone. So that doesn't really matter. But when you start getting to your finishing stones, try to make that burr as small as possible. Obviously small enough for you to identify, or big enough for you to identify, but not so big that when it comes off, it takes any other steel with it, but anything can happen anytime. You kind of got to get the feel of what works for you best, because certain techniques are going to work better for some people than others. And once you get a good technique down, and then like that's your fallback technique, then you can go on and start trying other shit. But it's good to have a couple little tricks in your arsenal that work really good, because like if this doesn't work, then you can fall back to this type of thing. But it's really good to get just like a perfection of like, this is my technique, this is how I do it. And you'll get good results because you'll have the feeling of it. You've done it so many times that you understand what's the best way to do it. What's the best pressure? What's the best this? What's the best that? Is the Concept Tech EDC a good knife to buy? I'm not going to recommend it to you, bud. It's a good knife. It's not a bad knife. I'm not saying it's a bad knife, but Mine came with some blade rock towards the lock. So that's one thing. The handle is a little big for the blade. It feels a little uncoordinated. But if you like the way it looks, I'm not stirring you away from it. It's a good knife. It's not a bad knife. And everybody else I've talked to, theirs came solid. Theirs did not have any blade rock or anything. It's not one that I would recommend over other knives. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It's a good knife, and if you like it over every other knife and that draws you in, then yes, get it. It's still a quality knife. Concept does a good job, but if you have other knives that you're eyeing out that are equally as good to you, you might want to go with those over that one. That's all I'm saying. I put a 17-degree edge on my S45 PM2. Does that steel hold up okay at that degree? Should I go higher? I've done well, PM2s should, not always, I guess it just depends, but a lot of Spydercos come with like a 15-degree edge already. So no, I think that'd be just fine on it. I think, in my opinion, 17 degrees is like, and I'm not saying it's good for everything. There's always variables. But if you were going to ask me what's the best edge angle on most knives, usually I would ask, well, for what type of knife, blah, blah, blah. But majority of the time, I'm going to say 17 degrees. So there are going to be times where I say, oh, dude, you're way too hard on that knife. You need to put a 20-degree edge on it. Or I'm going to say, you need to put a micro-bevel on that. But 17 degrees for most cutting knives that are made for just doing basic EDC stuff, basic cutting stuff, if you're not hitting staples and doing tough shit on your edge, 17 degrees is great. Because remember, the higher you put your angle, the tougher it's going to be, but your edge retention goes down and your cutting performance goes down. So, there's a give and take with everything, right? Just like with the better cutting performance, your edge retention goes up. Well, your toughness goes down. So you got to figure out what works for you, because your use might be like, you might work in a place where you're cutting carpet all the time and you're hitting staples, right? Well, in that case, you might not want a 17-degree edge or a 15-degree edge. You might want a 20-degree edge. And then also the steel and the heat treat is a variable too. It just kind of depends. But yeah, I always usually recommend 17 degrees per side for regular EDC knives. Jarrett, you need to read Bryson. I did. Unless there's another one. I did read it, but I don't know. Maybe there's another one. Hopefully, you guys are talking about the same one that I already read. Oh man, I am so backed up on comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm catching up right now. We're gonna go for about 10 more minutes. Stropping compounds such as Jeweler's Rouge. Any stropping compound will work. Just some last longer than others, and then there's different abrasive, like how abrasive it is. So I recommend a 6 micron for most EDC knives or most people that are sharpening. 6 micron is great. It adds the perfect amount of bite. Now 3 micron is good too. The green compound that you're speaking of, that stuff is usually between 3 and 6 micron. The way I've normally seen it is green is 3, white is 6. Green compound 3, white compound 6, but I have seen green be 5 micron. Now, usually when you buy it, it'll tell you it's micron. I would say don't get it if it doesn't tell you. I mean, it's difficult to say that because it's most likely not going to be higher if it's green. It's not going to be more abrasive than 5-6 micron. But Jared, story time, please. Okay, all right, let's jump to story time. We're 48 minutes late on story time. Damn you guys. But yeah, I just recommend, I mean, if you want to make it nice and easy, just the regular aluminum oxide, the green compound or the white compound, the stuff you just put on like a crayon. This stuff is really good. Now, I like diamond stuff better. I like other compounds better, But that stuff is super easy to use, super easy to put on. It just doesn't last as long, and you got to keep putting it back on your strop. Big deal though. It lasts forever. Like meaning the actual block. Like I have a block that I'll probably have for like 5 years because it just, it's like having a crayon and you just rub it on the leather, and you don't want it to be thick. You want a thin layer. All right, story time. Let me drink some water. Yes, dry mouth. Coffee, then water. All right. We got a good story. All right. So when I was a kid, this is, listen, I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. Like, like with me being a kid, but, it's probably going to sound a little crazy, but all right. So when I was a kid, my parents got divorced, and, me and my mom, we moved into an apartment building, and, at this apartment building, I was creating hell. Okay. I was, honestly, I was, I guess you'd call me a hellion child, whatever you want to call it. But, I wasn't an evil child, by the way. I was a good kid, but, I had my moments. So at this apartment building, I wound up doing some fucked up shit. So at this one point, I feel bad talking about this. So behind the building, there's like this playground thing, right? And there's this big field, a big field. And, the landlord left the hose out, and he left the hose out with the spray nozzle, and for whatever reason, I grabbed the hose. And there's a couple different stories. These are all going to be short stories that are all going to just work out like a same time zone or time event. Anyway, so I grabbed this hose and I'm spraying the other kids. All right, I'm spraying the other kids. This pregnant lady, clear as day pregnant, opens up. Oh, no, sorry. She's in her window, but there's a screen there. She starts yelling at me. Something about the hose. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she starts yelling at me. I turned right to her and I fucking sprayed her down. Just right through her window, because I'm at her window. Like her window's right here. I'm spraying the kids, and then she starts yelling at me. And I just turn around and I got her right through that screen. Oh man, was she mad. Madder than hell. Then like sometime later, we wound up, I don't remember if we got kicked out of this place because of me, or if we just, I don't remember exactly what happened when we moved, but for, it wasn't a good place for us to be anyways. But man, this is the part I don't want to say because I know it's fucked up, guys. I know it's messed up, but I found a metal rod. Okay. Found a metal rod, and I lifted the manhole cover in this field. The landlord was such a dick to me, and he fucking hated me, and I'm sure it's all justified. I'm sure. I have no doubt. But I took his cat and I threw it down that fucking manhole. We'll get past that one really quick. I know it's messed up. I know. And I love animals. I'm an animal person. Then, however long later, right? This is the first time I ever got the cops called on me as a kid. First time I ever dealt with cops. I'm a kid, and there's 3 buildings. So it's like an apartment project where there's 1 building, 2 building, then 3 buildings. So 1, 2, 3. Well, I was at the other unit, which has nothing to do with the 2 units that I live in. All right. They're the same exact building, same everything, just different managers. Well, I'm over on their property, and it's backed up to a main road. People are driving by 45 miles an hour constantly. Just it's a pretty big road. And I am on that road and I go and I bundle up all the beer bottles I can find in the woods. So I'm going through the woods and I'm just looking for beer bottles. I already got my plan. I know what I'm doing in my head. So I get up all these beer bottles and they're all over out there in them woods, all over. So I had a ton of them. I probably had like 30 of them. And I get on the side of that road, and as cars are going past, I'm whipping the bottle so that it hits the front of their car. So like when they go by, it goes right in the front. And cars would just screech to a stop as soon as they'd hit it. Well, sometimes I'd miss, like obviously I'm a kid. I would miss and it would like hit the road next to their car. They wouldn't even think nothing. They just keep going. Because like people, like they don't know what it is. They don't know like if somebody's like trying to stop them, like to rob them or something, who knows, But so a lot of people were not stopping. So they just keep going, and I just kept launching bottles. Well, then finally I wound up getting one right in the front of the car. Bam, he hits the bottle, or she hit the bottle. She fucking laid on her brakes. Skirt. We take off. All right. We take off and hide. Wait about 5 minutes. Coast is clear. Come back out. We're kids, so we're dumb, right? We don't realize like the cops have probably been called by now. So we're on the road and we're still launching. Well, then I wound up hitting a dude's car, like straight up, like not the front of it, the grill, like straight on the side of the car. And he slammed on his brakes. He'd be like about slid sideways. And he got out and started like running at us. Well, we took off, right? Obviously. Well, as soon as the coast is clear, we're back launching bottles again. Glass everywhere. Fucking this road is covered in glass. Then, next thing we know, a cop pulls up. So we take off, right? We take off. And, oh no. Okay. So this wound up happening 2 different times. So this time I'm trying to think exactly. So we took off and, he wasn't going to chase us. He was this big black dude, giant dude. And we took off. And he basically like just circled the block, like, or whatever, just took off like 5 minutes. So we wound up coming out and we thought the coast was clear. Everything was good. And I climbed a tree. Well, he pulls up, bam, pulls up, catches me in the tree. I'm trying to remember right now because there was another instance with a bow and arrow, and it was kind of the same thing where I ran and the cop wound up catching me. But either way, this cop winds up catching me. And now I can't run. I'm screwed because I'm stuck in a tree. What am I going to do? So, and all the little kids, they're pointing to me, right? It's like, you helped. Like, I wasn't the only one throwing bottles, but they all pointed at me. I was the main one. I really was. I collected all the bottles. I was the one. But yeah, so he had me walk up to him. Right. And like I said, this dude's like a giant. Come, to me. I'm a little tiny kid. So he's like a giant, and he just has me come up to him. And I'm coming up to him, and it's like, and he's talking all kinds of shit. Like he's pissed, or at least pretending to be pissed. One of the two. Going off. And he's getting he's trying to get my information, right? And I'm like refusing to give him my information because I don't want him to go and talk to my mom, right? And the other kid is giving him my information, and I'm so mad. I remember afterwards, like I called him a traitor and all kinds of shit. We're little. I'm like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. So I'm not, because when I lived at this place, I lived at this building, but at this time, because I lived in this building a couple different times, it was between 4 years old and 8 years old. So he says he's gonna go tell my mom. He says that. And he got my apartment number, he got everything, all the information, and left me to think that he told my mom and snitched on me. He never did, though. He never did. I wound up snitching on myself to my mom. I wound up walking in like crying, like hysterical, because I thought I was fucked. I thought she was gonna kill me. All right, like it's the cops, right? I'm going to jail. But then same thing basically happens. I'll just finish the bow and arrow story since I brought it up. I get my grandpa's. My grandpa, he's passed away. I got one of his old bow and arrows. He used to have all kinds of straight bows. And he just regular recurve bows. And I got his bows, and I got a string because my dad did archery and everything. So I wound up getting a string, got everything, strung it, and I didn't have no arrows. So I had to go gank some fucking arrows from my dad. So I went and stole some arrows from my dad, and then I needed some arrowheads. Well, regular arrowheads didn't look cool enough, so I got hunting arrowheads. You know, like the ones for deers, like the ones that look like something from Rambo. This is so bad too because this is so dangerous. You know, I'm talking about like the real arrowheads, you know, the ones that are like that, and they have multiple razors on each side. I got those, and those things are expensive too, especially back then. You know, I don't know if that made sense, but anyway, so I can't really pull back the bow is that far because I'm a kid. I'm a little kid, but I can get it back a little bit and bink, you know, and so I can't get no distance, so I gotta get into a tree, right? Fucking makes sense, right? You want to get some distance with your arrow, get into a tree. So I got into a tree with my buddy who was a lot stronger than me because he was like 3 years older than me. So me and him got up in this tree, and he can pull it back. Like he not all the way, but pretty good. And he can launch them. I'm up there, he's up there, we're launching arrows. Thinking about it now, we're launching arrows into a parking lot. Like just dumb, stupid as all hell. Well, cops get called again, obviously, right? Thank God, before we killed somebody. But the same cop, same cop, and he caught me, and he's and same thing. Chased. He showed up. I ran. He didn't catch me. So then, I wind up coming out like an hour later or something, and he catches me like straight up again. It's basically the same exact way. It's like, damn it, I fell for it again. I remember when I ran into the woods, because when you're a kid and there was like this wood, like this little field. It's not even that big, but to me it was massive. Hey, YouTube took that thing down because of you. Yeah, YouTube took it down. It's messed up, right? But yeah, YouTube took down my damn thumbnail. They said it was too sexual, even though it's a fully clothed, I repeat, a fully clothed human being, not naked. She's wearing the same outfit as in the video. Anyways, but he winds up catching me, and he didn't do too much that time. He was actually kind of cool that time. Get this, though. Ran into the same cop 2 more times in my life. He was my dare officer in school, and then caught me blowing up dynamite at the same building years later. I moved, right? Didn't live in that building no more. A bunch of things hit the fan, and we didn't have no place to go. Me and my mom, and we bounced around a lot. Like I remember moving probably like 25 times by the time I was 18. Like seriously, we jumped around all different. I could tell you all different places I've lived. And most of them all in the same exact town, just different apartments or different houses, just bouncing around this one little town. Eventually we moved out of the town, but anyways, doesn't matter. The point is that we wound up moving back to that building and moving in because my aunt had an apartment in that building. So when I went back, there was this dude. I actually told a story about this same dude before, about me and him getting into a fight. But anyways, my dad always had some of the bangers, right? He always had bags of bangers. So we were taking half sticks, and we had full sticks, half sticks, quarter sticks, and we're tying them to trees, blowing trees up, throwing them in like the holes of trees. And we blew one up, and it wasn't long. He pulled up, that same exact cop. And He really didn't care. He pulled up and I was about to run. Like, I was ready to run. Like, I ain't gonna talk to this dude again. But my buddy walked right up to him. But he's like older and he's like a gangbanger and everything. Like, he just walked up to him and just told him what was up. Like, yeah, we're blowing some shit up. And then the cop was just like, well, stop it. Stop it and get your ass inside. You know, he was pretty cool. But yeah, he wound up being my dare officer though. And I don't think he recognized me though, because you know, you can imagine how many kids he's seen and everything. I remembered him though. Like, you don't remember that face, you know. I mean, he was a big dude too, so don't have time to watch, but leave. We're about to get out of here anyways, Paul. I appreciate you dropping in with the like. But yeah, stupid. What the but yeah, we jumped around so much. There were a few apartment buildings I lived in multiple times in my life, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I have like different stories from different times, and that's how I always can know how old I was during something, because I can tell you by where I lived or where I was, because depending on where I was, depended on like how old I was. Because I can remember like from this year to this year, we lived here, you know. So if I was anywhere in that neighborhood, then that means I was that old or between that age. My cousin dared me to throw a rusty butter knife found in the backyard. And me being a dumb kid, threw it as hard as I could, straight at his head. I missed his eye by an inch. Still has the scar. Damn. Yeah, that sucks. That's no good. No good. Later, 2%. Thanks for joining us. My buddy and I burnt half his backyard playing with fire. playing with gas. Oh man. Yeah, I got a couple stories of that too. Aside from like, because I did have an attempt to arson charge when I was a kid, but that had nothing to do with the house I burnt down by accident. I've told the story on here before how I accidentally burnt down a house that I broke into. Good night, everyone. I hope you all have a great weekend. Keep great content. Thank you, Samuel. I appreciate it. And much love to everybody. We might as well just take off. I see everybody's jetting out of here. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to all the Patreons. Thank you to everybody who donated. You guys are awesome. And I do always appreciate the donation. Average Joe, you son of a bitch. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Joe, man. Thank you for the donations. You guys have no idea how much the donations totally keep this channel afloat. It helps so much. And I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are always backing me up. You guys always have my back. And that really does mean a lot. I always see you guys having my back and doing what you guys can to support this channel. And it means a lot. It really does. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for always having my back and always doing what you can to keep me afloat. I see you guys, you know, I know you guys are watching my ads and using my links and things like that. Everything counts, man. And it totally keeps this channel afloat. I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you to the moderators for helping out and keeping the links going, because that's tough, man. I know it's definitely a job in its own, keeping up with me talking and, you know, saying shit. But I love you, Breeze. Thank you, cuz you always show up. Thank you to all the Patreon members and everybody else who's joined tonight. Thank you for everybody commenting and helping me out through my lives, because it definitely makes it more entertaining for the people watching later. Remember, the people watching later, why would they stick around? Why would they stick around if good questions aren't being asked, good topics, good points, good conversation? They need that. They're not going to keep watching or even watch a little bit if we don't have that. So I appreciate everybody with the great comments, the great questions, the great topics. And I did think about doing one soon where I basically just take comments that are already pre-done from you guys and make a whole live out of it. I think that would be awesome. We definitely should talk about that. And if you guys ever have some really cool topics you guys would love talked about in a video, let me know. By the way, Cheryl Gorov, There is somebody who has a Shuro Goroff for sale. If you guys are ever interested, his name is on Instagram, or just contact me. It doesn't matter, but this is his name, just so you guys know, on Instagram. But you guys can just contact me and I'll get a hold of him. It doesn't matter, but that's his Instagram. And thank you guys for everything. I love you guys. Peace. You're my boy, Blue.